Hello, everyone. Welcome to Special Delivery with FarEye. My name is Judd Marcello. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for FarEye, and I'm going to be your host for this show. And we're going to see you every last Thursday of every month from here on in. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with FarEye, we're a delivery logistics company. We help people with all phases of the delivery journey, from first mile to mile to last mile. But we really focus and we really specialize and we excel in helping companies with the most critical part of the delivery journey, which is the last mile delivery. And what is last mile delivery? Last mile delivery is really all about consumers getting the products that they buy from their favorite brands. From a consumer perspective, it's can you get this to me on time, accurately, when I want it, and make it a very simple, easy experience for me. And from a brand side or from a logistics company's side, it's how can we do this profitably? How can we do this so it streamlines operations, makes our people better at what they do, creates a very efficient experience throughout the entire delivery from order to door, and allows us to think about how we take all those profits and turn them into new revenue streams, right? So that's really what we do here at FarEye. We help customers get what they need, and we help the brands that are delivering it to them get it there on time in a really profitable manner. We're really excited about this show. So special delivery, we're going to talk about a lot, and it's obviously going to be about last mile, but we really want to talk about this from a consumer point of view, from a brand point of view, from a logistics provider point of view. This show is about making deliveries better and everything that is included in that process. FarEye's been around for about 7 years now, 7 or 8 years now. We're a global company. We've been solving the last mile challenge in all regions around the globe, Asia Pacific, throughout the EMEA region, and in the Americas. Last mile is a complex part of the journey, right? Why? It's the most costly, and it's the most intricate in terms of getting that package out to the consumer. And every region around the globe is a little bit different in how logistics work and how deliveries work. So, our experience here, we feel, is something that we can provide you in form of knowledge and education and help you make deliveries better for your company and for your customers. Okay. So, new show for us. So, we've got so many things to talk about, a long list of things to talk about. But each week, what I want to make sure that we do is we make sure that you're in tune what's happening out in the market. And we're going to be talking about the headlines in the industry that are impacting the entire industry and may also be impacting you. We're going to bring some guests onto this show. Sometimes it'll be FarEye people. We've got somebody from FarEye today. I know you're going to love spending time with him. And we'll also start to bring in the brands that we work with. And we'll bring in other thought leaders and other known entities throughout the industry so that they can share their knowledge with you. Because remember, this is all about making deliveries better for you. And, the way we look at last mile is we think about the first rule of last mile as delivering a superior customer experience. If you deliver a superior customer experience, that means you're making your customers happy. You're focused on brand loyalty. You're focused on customer satisfaction, NPS, making that customer happy and sticky and stay with you every time they need to make a purchase of a product that you sell. Okay? We're big believers in that first rule, superior customer experience. We're also big believers in that if there was a second rule or a 1B to the first rule, it would be about making sure that your back-end processes for delivering those products, all the logistics involved, syncing with your supply chain, managing the delivery throughout all the stages and all the different journeys, is as profitable and as efficient as it can be, right? Because superior customer experiences are great. If you're serving the customer in a way that makes them sticky, fantastic. But if you're not doing it in a way that makes your business better, then you're going to have a problem long term. We're going to help you solve those short-term problems you have, and then we're going to help you scale your business and solve those problems in the future, largely through the guests that we bring on and the topics that we discuss today. So, kind of before we get into our segments for this morning or wherever you are this afternoon, I want to talk to you a little bit about something that's important to us and something that we're really championing in the market right now. And that's called the last mile mandate, right? for us, the last mile mandate is a code, a set of rules, a method that we feel that everybody who's involved in deliveries, consumer deliveries, logistics, what have you, should be adhering to. Because when you do, you will be focused on the right things to deliver those great experiences and make your business more profitable, more efficient, etc. So recently, we've published the last mile mandate, and within it, it talks about 5 tenets of creating superior customer deliveries, 5 tenets of creating more efficient deliveries for your business. And what's interesting about the mandate is we spent a lot of time working with people in the industry, listening to what their challenges are, hearing about what they're dealing with every day, and we brought those into this thinking. And what we found out was, the mandate is really about solving challenges. And there are 5 primary challenges that we see that brands are having, businesses are having when it comes to the last mile. And these 5 challenges are really what we're going to be talking about each and every show. We want to go deep into these challenges and make sure that we're getting to the heart of them, understanding them from your point of view, and discussing solutions together, right? Discussing solutions together about how we can solve these challenges. The challenges that we find are most prominent: routing, consumer demands being placed on B2C brands, what have you, omni-channel fulfillment, sustainability, and returns, right? This is where the frustration is. How do you get each of those 5 challenges right? How do you solve them, right? That's what we're going to talk about. So we'll hit on that today. And then we'll also talk about the 5 tenets or the 5 pillars of the last mile mandate. And I think it's worth sharing here, just in summary, because again, these are the topics that we feel are important based on what we're hearing in the market. We're going to continue to discuss with all of you on special delivery. So the 5 pillars of the last mile mandate. Number 1, dramatically simplify the complex last mile. Okay, last mile is the most costly and the most complicated part of the delivery journey. It's recent studies say that 52% of all costs in the delivery journey, first, mid, and last mile, come within the last mile. That's what we're going to help you focus on. Simplifying that complex journey, reducing the cost of deliveries. Make everybody happy. Okay. Second pillar of the last mile mandate: improve customer satisfaction, customer loyalty, customer NPS. Again, delivering superior customer experience is the first rule of last mile. Happy customers, happy business. Third thing is delivering a unique, cohesive brand experience. One of the crazy parts about delivery, especially when delivery goes wrong, is if you're a consumer, we all get packages. We're consumers. If you get a delivery and it's quote unquote wrong, you want to blame the brand. Sometimes it may not be the brand's fault. Sometimes it may be the outsourced fleet that they're using, and there's a disruption in a partner service, right? So what's really important is, even though you may not be responsible for the actual delivery and dropping something on somebody's doorstep, as a brand, you are responsible in the consumer's eyes. So it's really important that you have the ability to manage, control, right? Dictate what that entire brand experience is. The 4th pillar is delivering new and differentiated offerings. When you create efficiencies in your delivery logistics, in your delivery journey for your customer, and you become, highly efficient, right, internally, it frees up resources. It creates more profit in your business that you can reinvest into new delivery models, right, or new business models related to delivery. It could be add-on services, whatever it may be. But if for your business to grow, not only can you become great at deliveries, the resulting benefits from a profitability and efficiency standpoint, you can reinvest back in your business. That is critically important when you think about scaling. And then lastly, it comes down to sustainability. Very important today. How your brand handles the impact on the environment is very important from a consumer's perspective. And you need to be thinking about that, because when you don't, it impacts a consumer's perspective on who you are as a company, how you're treating the environment, and ultimately whether or not they spend their money with you. Okay, so just a quick overview of the last mile mandate. Now, look, we'll share some links in a bit, but the last mile mandate is something that we offer on our site. We have a full rundown of what the last mile mandate is. We'll share the link, and I encourage you to have a read. Let this spark some ideas for you. Read this, bring this next time you come to special delivery, because we'll be talking about it in detail. But I think within here you'll learn a little bit more about the last mile challenge and the mandate that you should adhere to help you solve it. Okay. All right. So before I move on, I just want to acknowledge everybody that's joined us today. Thank you for joining. I see we have people coming in from Brazil. We have people coming in from Ohio, California. We have people here from Tennessee. We have people here from all over the globe and throughout the US. So thanks for spending time with us. Your time is valuable and we appreciate it. Now, look, I encourage you to join in, make some comments, ask some questions, grab my attention, and we'll address what's on your mind, because really this show is all about you. Okay, great. Let's do this. I want to move into our next segment, and I think this is an important one. And it's probably impacting all of you that are involved in deliveries, consumer packaged goods, B2C companies, specifically e-commerce. So, in this segment, which I like to call delivering the headlines. Okay, I'm a marketer, so we try to have some have some fun with what we're doing here. So we want to make sure that we know you're busy and you don't have a lot of time to read every article that's out there. So we're going to do some of that for you. Okay, we're going to pay attention to the industry news and we're going to bring it to you here. I think one of the one topic that is on everybody's mind right now when you're selling goods online is the pace of e-commerce growth. Okay, so we all experienced the pandemic and what happened there from a human level, but from a business level, what we saw was pretty much everything was moving to online purchases. We're all trapped at home, and we needed to get what we needed from a food perspective, from a goods perspective. We needed to have some kind of regular life, even though we couldn't get out there and walk amongst the people. So what happened? Everybody turned to deliveries online. We started going to our favorite retailers. All the retailers had to flex very fast and make sure that they could fulfill all the orders that were coming in. It created a little chaos, but it created a lot of opportunity too. And it created a lot of optimism in the market. There were, projections of where e-commerce was going to go were just exploding, right? Never ending, glass half full. This is just going to continue its upward trend. And it really did throughout the pandemic, obviously. And it did so in 2021 thereafter. But what we're starting to see is that new normal is creating a new normal, right? And we're seeing these, this spike of online sales start to flatten a bit. And maybe those optimistic projections from an e-com perspective aren't trending in the same direction or as aggressively as the experts thought they would. And so we're seeing that businesses have to readjust. And, I pulled out a couple articles here that I want to share with you. I think kind of tell the tale. One of them here is, I pulled this from TechCrunch, and it's pretty on the nose, how e-commerce companies can brave the new retail environment. Right up front, they're calling out, this new retail challenge. And it specifically addresses what's happening with e-commerce growth right now. And I just want to call out this line here for you, this little paragraph. It's stating here, e-commerce growth, percentage of total worldwide sales has not continued to persist as strongly as expected post-pandemic, okay? And the stats to prove it. From Statista, it says e-commerce stood 12.9% of total US retail sales in Q4 of 2021, down 13.6% in the previous year, okay? I think that in and of itself just tells the story of what's happened with the optimism, right? And now companies that bet the farm, and we'll talk about one company that did place a bet. Companies that bet the farm, so to speak, on these aggressive projections are now realizing that, hey, look, we have to make new corrections in our business, and they're going to be significant for a while, and we have to rethink how we're serving the customer and how we're setting our business up for success and growth into the future. Now, one thing about this headline here I like is really the subhead here, where it just talks about building stronger brands. And when we go back to saying the first rule of the last mile is superior customer experience, this is really important. Okay, so one of the other articles I said where somebody is making a strong bet in the market on this is Shopify, and I just want to call out Shopify for a minute, not to take them down, but to use them as an example. Shopify is an e-commerce company. They were one of the ones that said, "Hey, this is never going to slow down from a online selling perspective. We're going to ride this as much as we can." Where they're and obviously the negative impact on their business is significant. They just announced a 10% layoff of staff, and they're having to rethink what they do from a go-to-market perspective and projections, in terms of customer growth through online sales. What's funny here is, their CEO actually said, "We made a bet, and we made a bet that this trend was going to continue," and that bet didn't pay off. He actually said that on his earnings call yesterday, and I think a lot of companies are feeling that way. And one of the things that's happening is companies are starting to think, okay, the projections aren't going in the directions that we thought they were. What are we going to do about that? How do we need to respond externally from a consumer perspective, but more so internally? And right now, what are they talking about doing? Reducing costs, becoming more efficient, right? That technology that they were going to build in-house, they may not have the time and resources to do that. They're going to have to look to experts to come in and provide them software solutions that help them reduce profits, manage their delivery experience, and best serve the bottom line while they think about what needs to happen from a market macroeconomic perspective, and to growing the top line. So this is being felt right now by a lot of companies that are where e-commerce growth is really important to their own personal growth trajectory, and the knock-on effect on that deliveries have from the knock-on effect of like how they serve deliveries going forward. So e-commerce, it's not dead. This isn't like the death knell, what's happening right now. It's a correction. And a lot of factors go into this, but what customers should be what brands should be thinking about right now is not, hey, sky's falling. This is the dip. How do you invest in the dip? How do you invest in resources in the dip? How do you invest in profitability? How do you think long-term? How do you think working with partners that can help you grow and can work with you as you scale your company? That's what's important right now. Okay. Another hot topic for us in the industry. Okay, cool. We'll share some of these links afterwards so you can read the stories yourself. All right. Next segment, what I'd like to do is bring Jorge on. Jorge Lopera is our VP of Latin America. We are a global company. We serve customers around the globe. We help them with their deliveries everywhere. Jorge is an expert on global delivery strategy, and he specifically focused on Latin America for us. And I wanted to bring him in here today because whether or not we have people on the call that have business specifically in Latin America, I've seen some of the brands that are joining us today. You're global brands. And so your challenges in one region are different than your challenges in the other region. And we want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we see in Latin America and how we're helping brands solve those. Jorge, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Judd. Hello, everybody.
Great. Hey, Jorge, look, why don't you tell everybody what you do and then give us a little kind of overview on how we look at global deliveries, and then we'll dive into Latin America.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Judd. So my role, as Judd mentioned, I'm leading the growth strategy for Latin America. We certainly see a tremendous opportunity in the region, just given by the growth rates that we've been experiencing over the last 5 years, which is about 16%. Consumers have really taken hold to buying online, and this is really evident by what we're seeing in growth rates within m-commerce. So these are folks buying things, with their mobile device. And so that's really spurring a lot of movement across the entire supply chain, really how to get goods quicker in from Asia and other parts of the world, how to really manage omni-channel inventory visibility, and then how to really begin to develop a final mile strategy that's going to lead to enhanced service levels that we're accustomed to seeing in the US and many parts of Europe. As far as FarEye in general, as Judd mentioned, we're a global organization. We currently operate in 30 countries. And that really gives us a tremendous amount of experience in solving really regional challenges. Our roots really come from Asia. And so a lot of the things that we are currently encountering, for example, in Latin America and other parts of the world, are really rooted on being able to deliver goods from one place to another and be able to do it accurately, reliably, and at the lowest cost possible. And so that's really rooted in the DNA of the organization, really looking to solve problems, understanding that it's not one size fits all, and understanding that the landscapes are quite different across the world. So a little bit about what we do as far as being able to solve some of these challenges, but certainly happy, Judd, to get into anything specifically around Latin America.
Yeah, look, I think it's great context, how you started out there, like being able to provide a consistent service to brands throughout the globe, right? Relative to what the complications are in their market, that's kind of like what we're here to do. I would be really interested to understand like what makes Latin America different, right? From in a last mile context, in a delivery context.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll kind of start look at the challenges first, but certainly, from challenges, there's always opportunities that arise from them. So really, it's really hard to do delivery across Latin America. I think it's really rooted on just some fundamental principles around address quality, right? I think a lot of us take for granted. We live on 123 Main Street. It's pretty easy to find us via our Google Maps, and it's pretty easy to use address validation when you're ordering online. Latin America is really not that at the moment, right? It's certainly being able to identify where you're supposed to make a delivery and really minimize the effort that carriers have to make in order to find your home. Yeah. And so we certainly do a lot of work around address quality, geocoding, leveraging machine learning, and really other attributes of the platform to be able to drive more efficiency, which in effect, right, creates more capacity and allows us to deliver that consistent experience. The next one is really around infrastructure challenges. Not every place is easy to get to. So being able to understand what roads are safe, what roads are not, being able to really navigate across the country is really a big challenge that we try to solve for and where we help our clients across the region every day. And then lastly, security. You can't deliver to every address at all hours of the day. So being able to intelligently position resources to deliver in areas when it is safe is certainly a top of mind concern for many of our customers. And so many of the meetings that I'm in really talk about these three areas. And then obviously there's the things that impact the consumer experience, right? Having visibility, influence, and control of their delivery each and every time are certainly becoming much more commonplace and much more frequent requests of our customers. Having the ability to respond to changes that happen, right? Life happens. Sometimes you're home, sometimes you're not. And obviously with some of the things I mentioned around security and how that delivery is executed become much more paramount.
So all that being said, one of the things I talked about earlier and what I heard there is really around the experience that the actual consumer delivery experience when something lands at the front door. You mentioned the complexities there where 123 Main Street, take that for granted. How are brands, logistic companies thinking about the consumer experience, like the actual delivery at the front door? How are they thinking about that differently now? What's changed for them?
Well, I think much of what we saw 8 years ago with Amazon is beginning to happen with players such as Mercado Libre. They're now beginning to push the envelope of what that delivery experience is and setting the new bar, right? So we can remember 8 years ago when we thought it was crazy to get something next day. Now even same day. Nowadays you can do it within time windows. That is far from the case, right? So I think a lot of that is really beginning to have to force organizations to rethink what that e-commerce experience should look like, and really having leaders such as Amazon in the US, Mercado Libre in Latin America, that's really beginning to accelerate some of the evolution in what that consumer experience is, and continuing to reestablish what's going to influence buying behavior. I think you see a lot of that in the statistics today in the US, for example, where 90+%, right, of consumers are not going to shop again if they have a bad delivery experience, right? It's really that interface of the brand is really that touch point happens at the doorstep, right? It's no longer the storefront, it's the doorstep. And we have to be very conscious of what type of brand experience we're going to be delivering as part of that. And so that's really where technology and this is where FarEye really shines. And these are some of the things that we're able to do for our customers each and every day.
Got it. Look, it's great to hear that there are consistencies, like, consistencies in the region or just mindset when people think about what the customer experience is, or how, like we like to say, the front door is the new storefront, right? We have to be thinking about the extension of that online experience to at home. So it sounds like there's a lot of similarities there. It's really good in terms of like just a global standard, so to speak, on how customers want to be treated. That's first and foremost what we're doing here. I talked a little bit earlier about e-commerce and the state of that right now, and how some brands and companies are dealing with that spike and now leveling off. What's the state of e-commerce in Latin America?
Well, I think the managing capacity and those peaks and troughs are certainly, a challenge. When you consider that 60% of carriers are independent, that's a large fragmentation in carrier base that we really have to look at how to harmonize. If we don't, options become limited, capacity becomes limited, offering becomes limited. Yeah. And so those are really a lot of the folks that we're talking to, retail and on the logistics side, they're all asking, hey, how do we integrate with gig? How do we integrate with different carriers? How do we intelligently orchestrate deliveries across all of these fleet categories and have SLA, have cost in mind when doing so? Yeah. And so right now it's really kind of some of the challenges we recently saw with the pandemic, but these are things that are much more commonplace, and really establishing that infrastructure and establishing that intelligence to work across fleet categories is top of mind. And we're beginning to see folks ask about things like mobile depots, where we can just start positioning trucks with products so people can come and we can start integrating, bikes and walkers and motorcycles and such. So it's the opportunity is really there for us to do some unique things. And I always like to say, the term of I've seen that movie before. That's a lot of what's happening, right? I think we experienced that in Asia. We obviously saw that in the US. Europe is obviously, much more dense geographic makeup. So really proximity of delivery radiuses are much shorter there. But certainly it's pretty exciting. As you can tell by my enthusiasm, I'm very motivated to be part of the region and to really help solve some of these challenges. And so I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Jorge. Thanks for that perspective on Latin America. We're certainly going to keep our eye on that and see what we can do about helping promote better customer experiences down there and making this whole delivery journey a hell of a lot easier for brands there. Jorge, thanks. I appreciate your time. We've got a couple minutes left in our quick 30-minute show, and on the way out, the way I'd like to end each show is really by sharing the last word on last mile with all of you. Something to think about until we meet again in a month. And today's last word on last mile is returns. Okay? Like returns. Returns are a critical part of the delivery process. And most often, I think if you're a brand, you're thinking they're a real pain, because returns means something didn't go right. That said, we have to think about returns as part of the customer experience. And if you're a brand right now, B2C brand, you're already thinking about the holiday season coming up, right? Christmas in July, as they say. So, that holiday season is coming up fast, and you need to have a really strong plan for returns. According to the Institute of Supply Management, 78% of consumers consider the quality of returns before they even make a purchase with a specific brand or vendor. That is significant, right? And also they say 30% of all products that are bought are returned. Don't count returns out. What are returns? They're deliveries in reverse, okay? Make sure that you're prioritizing returns in your delivery journey and already thinking about how making returns either a differentiator for you or an easy process on the consumer when something doesn't go right, whether that's your fault or theirs. Okay, we'll talk more about returns in our next episode. It's going to become critical as we move into the holiday season. But look, this is our first episode of Special Delivery. Oh man, I'm already thinking about ways that we can make this better for all of you and make it more informative and provide more value. We're going to go back into the studio. We're going to go figure that out. We're going to come back and see you in 1 month, next Thursday, the last Thursday of next month in August. We will see you then. Until then, visit our website, getfareye.com, download the Last Mile Mandate, get educated, and come ask us some questions. We'll be happy to provide you some answers. Thanks to everybody that joined around the globe, and we'll see you again soon.